Okay, in the last video, we drew a picture of what the demand curve slash marginal benefit slash marginal revenue curve looked like in a perfectly competitive market structure. And as you recall, it's horizontal because the price is set by the market and not by the firm. Okay, now let's add it all together. So if I draw a picture of my cost, average total cost, average variable cost, marginal cost, marginal benefit, right? And again, recall demand, marginal revenue, and supply. There we go. That's a firm looks like in a perfectly competitive market structure. Okay, so this is still quantity, this is still price, and there we go. And what we can do by looking at this is we can calculate which one of the conditions applies in terms of revenue. So I'm going to rewrite those conditions over here, right? So recall a firm may be experiencing economic profit, zero economic profit, economic loss, or shutdown. Okay? All right, we'll come back to that. Now, how do you do it? Look, I'm going to give you a little hint here. I get that not everybody is into this as like in the same way that I am. And here's the bottom line. I'm going to give you a checklist. And if you use this checklist, if you can memorize this checklist, there's only 6 steps. And if you can kind of memorize this checklist and use this checklist, then it makes the calculating of all this stuff really easy. Okay? So here's the checklist I want you to use. The first is X marks the spot. Okay, so the very first thing you have to do is you have to figure out where marginal cost equals marginal revenue. And recall why. Why do you have to do that? Well, because that's what's going to tell the firm where to maximize profits. So marginal revenue, marginal cost, put yourself a little dot right there. Okay, that's step 1. Now, step 2 is to highlight or draw, if it's not drawn, the line that passes through that point. That's a magic line, okay? So highlight magic line and notice what the quantity is, right? Because whatever quantity is associated with a line that passes through marginal cost and marginal revenue is the quantity that's being exchanged in this market. So that's important. Okay, so highlight it, annotate it, figure out what the quantity is. Okay. Number 3, calculate revenue. Calculate revenue. Now you do that by simply price times quantity, right? And listen to me. The price for the revenue is where that magic line intersects the demand curve, okay? So in this case, it intersects the demand curve right here. So whatever price is right here is going to be the price that we're going to use. So if our price is 10 and our quantity is 10 times 10 is 100, okay? Now, you may be thinking, oh, wait a minute, Mr. Dixon, you just calculated the area of that big rectangle. Yeah, that's all I did, okay? Number 4, calculate cost. And what you're going to do, I'm going to put ATC here, is you're going to figure out what your cost is, your total cost, you're going to look at that magic line and look where it intersects the average total cost curve. That makes total sense, right? Total cost intersects it right here. So whatever number is associated with that, let's say it's 8. Okay? So in this case, it's going to be 8 times 10, and that's 80. And that represents your total cost. So this rectangle right here is our total cost. This big one is our total revenue, right? Step 5, revenue minus cost, equals, well, in this case, our revenue is 100, our cost is 80, so 100 minus 80 is 20. Number 6 is figure out the condition. Condition, right? Now, here's the condition. If this number is positive, then you have positive economic profit, okay? If you subtract this and it comes out to 0, then you have 0 economic profit. If you go through this exercise and it's negative, you have economic loss. And I'm just going to give you the punchline. We'll talk about it later. But if the price is at or below the bottom of this average variable cost curve, let's say that's 6, that's our shutdown price, okay? So the price that comes off the bottom of this average variable cost curve is 6. We're shutting down. At 6 or below, the firm's going to shut down. And the reason they're going to shut down is because they're not even covering their fixed cost at that point, okay? But that's it. Follow this, write this down, follow this little checklist, and you can calculate it all day, okay? Now, let's look at what we have here, right? So just to reiterate, our revenue, 10 times 10, so our revenue is this big rectangle right there, right? Our cost, coming off the total cost curve there, average total cost curve, is this rectangle. So visually, do you see that? When you take this out, I mean this, what do you suppose this, well, I'll tell you what it is. This rectangle right here represents the profit. And here's how you know, right? Per unit, right? 10, which is the price the buyer's paying, minus 8, which is the cost. 10 minus 8 is 2. 2 times 10 is 20. There it is. Profit. Wow. Okay? And we could further subdivide this, the cost rectangle here, the cost box, into, look, we know 6 times 10. So this part is variable cost. And recall how we put the fixed cost, we just added it on. Well, then this box right here is our fixed cost. So you can see literally the fixed and the variable added together, total cost, taken out of your revenue, there's the profit, and that's how you figure it out, okay? Yeah, I'm going to leave you at that, and I'll be right back.